Hello, my name's Sam. I'm going to take you through a mini poster presentation, sort of like an academic poster presentation, on digital standards, tools, techniques and resources that can support and enhance active learning. Snappy title, but there we go. Okay, so here's my poster, and I'll send this out separately and you can print it out and have it on your wall, and if that's what you're happy about. So basically what we're going to look at is we're going to make this argument that technology has a major role to play in education, as it can enhance teaching and learning in all areas of education. In this presentation we're also going to look at the digital standards for Digital 2030, the strategic framework that's going to impact on all aspects of post-compulsory education and training. Then I'm going to look at three learning models, a slightly digital version of learning models, and digital pedagogy, and then I'm going to contextualize digital learning by showing you some examples in action. Okay, so without any ado, well, let's get started. So the digital standards have come to us from the Digital 2030, which is a strategic framework for Wales by the Welsh Government, but in association with JISC. And there's a lot of information in here to read and go through in your own time. But basically, what we're looking at is it shows how digital technologies can support and enhance effective delivery, and it explores a wide range of roles and responsibilities across the post-16 sector. So these are going to have a major impact on the aspirations of education and helping our culture and learners develop going forward. So there are 6 key areas: leadership and management, which is to take ownership; curriculum delivery and assessment, diagnostic approach to assess digital skills and to match those to learning; wider participation and learner support, so that's using tech to widen and support access for learners across Wales; employer and community engagement, making sure that what we're doing is current for industry as it is now, but more importantly for emerging and new developments in industry and the workplace. It's for staff development, but it's also for enterprise infrastructure, safe and secure compliance with obligations and standards. Now the great thing is JISC could put a lovely little website together for you, and this will make life a lot easier. So this is JISC's Digital 2030 in association with Welsh Government. This tells you what the vision is, and you'll see that I've stolen a little bit for the presentation. So the main thing is here are the objectives. So these are the 6 objectives I just quickly talked about, and in there it tells you what it is. So leaders have a clear digital vision and develop policies that promote a digital culture, and data is used to support and help learners identify organisational issues, etc., etc. And there you go, more detail. Widening participation is something very important to me. Learners can overcome barriers and reach their potential because they have accessible platforms, tools and resources. Staff understanding how we support learners using technology and access to technology. Staff development. Staff have opportunities to develop their skills and knowledge and experience using digital tools and techniques, such as undertaking a course in crafted teaching and learning from JISC. Very good course, you better go and do it. There we go, and there's more once again. So come back here, we've also got curriculum delivery and assessment. So this is where practitioners will use digital tools and techniques to enhance teaching, learning and assessment, so that all learners achieve the right level of digital skills for them. That's great, and to be innovative, which I like. And then we've got employer and community engagement, which is really important, that we keep up to date with what industry wants or will want, those workplace practices and digital skills requirements that are the future, and we involve our learners in this to help them choose their tools, platforms safely and wisely, and be ready for the future, which is what education is for. It's not for the past. Right, and then finally, enterprise systems and infrastructure. Staff have opportunities to develop skills, knowledge and techniques using these tools, and they can access networks, events, communities of practice and champions to support them. There are loads of communities of practice available in different places on the internet, WhatsApp, and especially on, how can you forget Twitter? I'm in a few on Twitter myself. It's really good. Okay, so we'll just go back to the poster. So we've just looked at the digital standards, and I should just go back to the presentation. We've looked at some digital standards here. Now what we're going to look at are some learning models. So social pedagogy and the learning zone model. So this is social pedagogy is all about working with others on learning processes in an authentic and genuine manner. And this is basically derived from the zone of proximal development by Vygotsky. And learning is most successful in a social context when being supported by a mentor, which comes down to the learning zone model has a different picture, but I like to use the fried egg. The fried egg, the yolk in this case, represents the comfort zone. This is where we know what we can do. We're safe, you know, we can just be happy in our little bubble, but we're not really learning anything. White, that is the zone of proximal development. That is the learning zone. That is what you can do, what you can achieve, but you're going to need some help. You're going to need some support to get the benefits of that and to know it. And then you got the burnt zone, if your fried eggs are anything like mine, and that's the panic zone. This is where it's too hard and where you fail to learn. Now the art is that we put things into the white, into this learning zone, and then we use something like a scaffold, which is where Jerome Bruner took Vygotsky's zone of proximal development and developed it. And this is where we're more knowledgeable others, the tutor, the peer, or content means that content support helps the learner achieve what they want to do. And this is done through social interaction. So social pedagogy, learning zone model. If you want to know more, have a look at the work of Vygotsky, or just Google social pedagogy in the learning zone model. It's amazing what you can find on the internet these days. Okay, rat. Now, this is not the kind of rats that are going to come around and cause you all kinds of problems at house. This is a simplified framework which can be used to develop learning with technology resources, including students' personal equipment as learning tools and not just distractions that have a useful function. What has happened in a lot of education is that people turn up with their mobile phones and they just use them as a distraction, or they just do minor things with them. But the idea is that you take their personal equipment and other equipment and use them as real learning tools. It takes what we're doing on a regular basis and is using those to enhance, support and develop learning. So there are three aspects to this, and this is a simplified version. There are other models that this has come from, but I quite like the simplified RAT. So you have replacement. So what you do is you use tech to replace other traditional resources. So and we'll look at this in a minute. So instead of just using paper and pencils, what can you do in a digital way? Is there a digital whiteboard or digital paper and pencils? Well, yeah, there's quite a few, and we'll look at those. Amplification. So you go beyond the basics to improve educational quality. So and a lot of digital apps will do this for us, is we can start simple, but then we can develop, build and go further. And that is enhancing and improving the quality of the approaches that we make. And then the key part is where transformation, I believe, like Jack Meisner, that all learning is transformative. We change. It's what it's doing to us that will make that difference. Whenever you do a course or a training session, if you come out of it feeling, wow, I'm now different because I can do this, well, that's transformation. And we can use technology to be creative and innovative to enhance and support that. Okay, and then 5-stage model. We were doing this during the course, and it was really quite interesting because it's now nearly 20 years old that Gilly Salmon proposed this, and yet I still think it's modern. It is also very good. And so the 5-stage model is participants gain from increasing skill in working and online learning, and the model guides the facilitator at each stage in how to support that. So it's a bit like a hierarchy, but it does make sense. So the first step is we need to have access to online learning. So that's not always as simple, if people haven't got their own technology, how are we going to get them there? And then how do they actually turn on the computer, or how do they engage with Teams? It's one thing using your phone for Facebook, but actually those skills can be adapted to online learning. We just need to help them get that. And then once they've got that, then we can start getting them to develop, or we can develop our online identity. This is how we interact and how we work, talk, meet other people. How we appear digitally is not always the same as how we appear physically. We just have to learn how we communicate in this new environment. And then once we've done that, then you've done this group, you've developed your group, they've got access to learning. Now we can start using them for information exchange. We can share information quickly, we can access information, and we can collaborate as we move up to the next stage on interacting with this information and with others. That's when we really get our tech working. And then what we can do is we can reflect, see where we are, what we need to develop personally for ourselves, for our learning, or for our employability, or just for our own personal well-being. Then we reflect on that, and we can then start becoming self-directed. Quite lovely. Okay, so digital learning, fair enough. I've heard of things like Zoom, I've heard of things like Teams and other things. Well, those are platforms that we can engage people with so that we can actually meet in the same space at the same time. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to look at 3 digital applications that you can use in those environments, that virtual online environment, but also when we go back to face, you can still use these to enhance learning. Social pedagogy and the learning zone model, that and 5-stage model and digital learning can still enhance learning in a face-to-face environment. Some blended learning coming in, or whatever. So let's have a look at, I've meant to open up the relevant thing, so I'm just going to open up Linoit on my other screen and then pull it over. And then we'll just have a quick look at an example. So this is an example of a Linoit board, and I have another video that you're welcome to look at on my site about how you use Linoit. So this is a nice simple open up a thing, write and post and post. Now this can be, your learners can be shared, so everybody can post onto it. Only the writer or the owner of the board can position them or move them around. But you can also insert pictures or files, and you can overlay them and change the colors. Now this is a great collaborative type thing in the fact of people can create, exchange, and it's a multimedia sticky notes that can be used to share group information and keep a track of it. So it's more than, remember this this rat, so this one replaces something like pen and paper or flip chart paper, and then it goes beyond because it amplifies that by, we can come back, we can add to these. So in this particular case we were looking at learning environments. There's Cabaret style, which is a layout of tables and groups, and then we can come back to it. We can add strengths, we can add weaknesses, and we can look, so we can come back to it, and that amplifies it, makes it more interesting and more effective. Okay, so I'll skip Nearpod. I'll come to that in a minute. I'll go to Stormboard first. So here's an example of a Stormboard. Now this is another collaborative tool, and there are plenty of others. Trello is another one that's very good, and you've also got Pinterest and others. So on this one, it is, I've set this out for theorists. So this was a group activity. People were splitting up, researching, people popping on their notes. But then it's also collaborative in that then we share that with other people so that everybody gains out of it, and then we can take them into discussion and add on to other people's or learn from what other people have done. Now, quite interesting is you can upload files and pictures and images again, and it constructs the learning. So it's adding that amplification. And in this particular case, we've also got information exchange and collaborative interaction going on at the same time. It's a lovely little application, and it is free, which is always a nice price. Right. Okay, and now my last example, although there are lots more, and they are really, some of them are very easy to get on with, is I'm just going to go through something called Nearpod, which is a live interactive platform. Now you can take a presentation and you can present it. So I'm just doing a preview here. So when I move the slides over here, if I'm doing it as a live participation, then those slides will be shared across other people's screens at the same time. I can also do them as a student paced, which means that people can come back to it and work through it at their own time. Now the great thing about Nearpod is it embeds lots of different elements. So you can embed videos in, you can put activities in. So this is a board, and what would be happening now is participants would be typing and putting notes onto it, like a pin board. But there are also other activities, so that there can be, this is like a little quiz activity where people get are answering questions. So and then we move on and on. So, and there are quite a lot. The great thing about Nearpod is, as a digital application, it builds in by having a load of different formative and summative assessment tools that are built into it. And what you can also do is, once you've done your session, you can print out a report, download a report, and have it sent to you. So that's this presentation over. Managed to keep it under 5 hours, which is pretty good for me. And if there are any questions, please feel free to post them, because obviously this presentation, we're not all in the same place. So if there are, post any questions on there, and then you never know, I might even provide some answers. Let me know what you think, and I hope you have a good day. Thank you.